Relax, the keyboard is off and the press box is closed, but the mic is just getting warmed up. Welcome to the Hockey Writers Ink, the show where the writer is fresh off the presses and the ink is not dry. Join your host, Lance Green, the guardian of the blue paint turned writer, and co-host SteelFlyers, as we bring you all the latest on the Philadelphia Flyers.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the next episode of the Hockey Writers Ink with your host with the most, Lance Green.
All right, guys. Thank you for tuning into this special edition of the Hockey Writers Ink, a Flyers podcast. Everything about this is going to be my annual mock draft that I just put out. If you guys haven't read it yet, please go read it. Usually I'm pretty close. This is my first attempt, pre-draft lottery edition, of course. Things could change if the balls fall our way, but who knows? I think there's very limited chance of that happening, being that they, I think, right now have the 12th overall pick. So,
Right.
Ron, I'm ready to get into it if you are.
Oh, yeah, baby. Oh, yeah, baby. Flyers got a 2.5% chance of the number one overall pick. 2.5% chance. So that's 2.5 balls. And anyway. Anyway. So, yes, man, I'll tell you what. We hinted about this the last show that Lance would be coming out with his mock draft 1.0 version, and that's what we're going to dive into here with episode number 166. We are going to be talking about Lance's annual mock draft 1.0, as he said, pre-draft lottery on this one for sure. And I'm your co-host, Ron SteelFlyers, and we are joined by the editor-in-chief, Lance Green. And we're going to dive right into this article, and we're going to dive right into these picks because we got a lot of stuff to get to in a short time to get there, right? So, First of all, Lance, thank you very much for writing such a great article. I'm going to say this, the last couple of years, they haven't necessarily been all that mock. I mean, like, the guys that you put on your list are guys that have come to the team. I mean, the Tyson Forsters, the Wisdoms, I mean, who else did we have on there too that was on your mock drafts that are now also part of the team? I mean,
there's been a couple of guys.
Yeah. It's been rather uncanny, so it's not really mock. So it's Lance's annual draft. Anyway, but we're gonna get into that and cover every single round that Lance has in his article that the Flyers do particularly have. So, but the first thing I do want to touch on and get into as well too here is this is a Philadelphia Flyers centric podcast where we talk about the Philadelphia Flyers exclusively, and we also do slide in a little bit of information about the Phantoms. So, by the way, they are in a huge fight right now for their lives in the second round of the playoffs against the Hershey Bears. They lost, I believe, the first two games, and they'll be going back into Lehigh and at the Allentown Center here for Game 3 here coming up. I believe it's Wednesday for that. So we're really swinging for the Phantoms. Go Phantoms, go Phantoms, go. We'd like to see them guys take some success. The fact they made it to the second round this year is even, bonus. So, all right, Lance, I have to tell you, this mock draft of yours has a lot of steel flavor to it. I mean, I remember coming to you, last fall and saying, hey, man, he's like, yeah, think of two names that you think are going to be some of the names that are going to be going on. And I said, okay, I liked
Celebrini.
Celebrini, only because his last name was Italian. I had no clue who he was at that point when I picked out the names. And the other name that I looked at was Cole Eiserman. And, man, let me tell you what. This kid is another gem of a player that we find on this great draft. And that is, as a matter of fact, the first pick that you have slated for the Flyers here. So obviously we know the inspiration behind this. And Lance, we know that a lot of time and energy and effort goes into this. Not only does Lance do the first 3 rounds, but he does every single round and every single pick that the Flyers have. No other person, no other writer, no other editor-in-chief, no other writer extraordinaire is doing that except for Lance Green for the Philadelphia Flyers.
Yeah, still a lot of guys usually stop after the first round. It's not something they usually dive into prospects wise. They focus on obviously the NHL and stuff like that. But, we here at SteelFlyers.com also do a podcast and, show about Prospect Watch, right? So Prospect Watch, we bring on some of these amazing young talents all season long, and we're watching all different leagues all over the world all season long. So as far as the Flyers go, to preface this article, this draft is loaded with A-plus defenders, right? But the Flyers don't really need as much help as they did, say, a year or two ago on defense, all right? Because we brought in Drysdale, right, to get rid of Gauthier. We have Cam York, who we spent a first-round pick on a few years ago. We have Oliver Bonk in the system. We have Emil Andre in the system, all guys that we used either first or second round draft picks on defending wise. So we have a lot of great young defensemen coming up. We have a lot of promising other defensemen coming up in the system. So while all these other teams are going to be snatching up these right-hand shot defenders and all these other defenders, amazing defenders that are in this draft early on, what they said, most other so-called experts have said that Cole Eiserman is going to still be on the board when the Flyers pick, potentially. Now, he is the probably best shot in this draft, has the best shot, scoring ability, out the yin-yang. At the time I wrote this, he had 55 goals and 31 assists for 86 points. He's played since then in the U18 Worlds, and he's averaging over a goal a game and almost a point and a half a game. And the biggest thing I like about Eiserman is 22 of those goals came on the power play. And we all know the Flyers power play has been absolutely horrendous the past couple of years, right?
I'll be putting it mildly.
Bottom dwelling power play efforts here. They only scored 12.2% of the time they were on a power play, 31 times all season long out of 254 chances. So to say we need help on the power play is an understatement. And that's why I said, if he is still available, I don't think he will be. I think somebody's going to get smart and draft this kid before this. But the knock on him is he doesn't really play defense, and he chases some hits. But those things you can work on. You can't teach scoring over 50 goals a season. I'm sorry, you can't do that. That's got to be somewhat natural ability. That's got to be, in your blood. That's been worked on for years and years and years of training, in the driveway, in the garage, at early mornings at the ice rink. So I'll take a guy who doesn't necessarily like to play defense and teach him, hey, when you get done shooting, you get your butt back. That's easy. But I need those goals, man, because this kid has scored more goals than Austin Matthews, Patrick Kane, Phil Kessel, you name him. He's scored more goals than anybody in the National Player Development Program for the United States. So, I mean, he's only got one other person, and heck, with this tournament now ending, he might be roundabout right with his numbers. So, man, I like this kid. He would be an amazing walk-on talent that could potentially start for the Flyers. But if he is gone, I would say there's going to be plenty other defense. You never know, sitting where we're sitting at 12th, who's going to fall. There's always somebody that's going to fall, right? Because look at us last year. We got Mishkov, was supposed to be a top 3 talent, but with everything going on, he fell to us. So,
Right.
and it kind of looks like he's might come over early, fingers crossed. So,
Yeah, fingers crossed. Yeah, for
but
sure.
any other defense that falls to us, Zeev Bunneman, Zane Parak, Sylvia Dickerson, Yamachuk. There's tons of good defensemen that I say they should probably draft. It all depends who's there, but if Cole's there, they better take him.
See, that's kind of funny that you talk about him like that, and I watched him play in the tournament here. I tried to watch all of the games for the United States, and I tried to watch all the games for Canada. Big shout out to Prospect Watch. We interviewed Carter George, the MVP for Team Canada. We also interviewed Ryder Ritchie, who played a heck of a gold medal game and also scored, I believe, 5 goals in the entire tournament. So Ryder Ritchie making a mark as well to 2 players that were interviewed by Prospect Watch. You can go over to steelflyers.com/link/Prospect Watch to check them out, or you can go to the YouTube channel and go to the Prospect Watch playlist and type in Carter George, or you can type in Ryder Ritchie and see those interviews as well too. So be sure to check them out. But with that being said, the Cole Eiserman, I think, is because based off of what Lance said and based off of what was in the article, if the Flyers stay at 12, see, that's the other consideration here that I think we need to think about too, even though this is pre-lottery and all that other stuff. If the Flyers stay at 12 and if Cole is available, then you got to drop it on him.
Yeah.
I don't care who or what you think this has got to be the young man that you bring into this. The talent that this young guy has, the coachability that this young guy has, his ceiling is much higher, I think, than a lot of some of the other picks that are going to happen in the first round as well too. So can't argue with that, man. He's the guy I've been watching for 2 years now. So all right, so let's talk about the second first round pick that the Philadelphia Flyers do have. And Lance, you mentioned the player that they should take is?
Dean Letourneau. Huge kid, right? We got a second additional first round pick this year, obviously, from trading Giroux away to the Florida Panthers. Now it's going to be late. Florida is a great team, but herein lies my thinking on this. It may be a little stretch. I've been watching this kid for quite some time, and he's amazing. Some people have him as an early second round, like one of the first people being taken in the second round, but some other experts have him sneaking into that first round, and this is where I think we should grab him with this second pick in the first round that we have, because he is a center, number one. He is a 6'7" center. Mind you, that's 210 pounds.
Say that again for the folks in the back that didn't hear.
He is a 6'7", 210 pound center. Guys, that's bigger than Eric Lindros. Okay.
Hello.
All right. And this kid is not only a big center. Okay. He can score like Lindros did. All right. He scored 61 goals this year, 66 assists for 127 points, guys, in 60 games played. He played for St. Andrews College up in Canada. But this kid is amazing. He is so quick on his skates, just does everything right. And he did so well that he impressed the great and talented Boston College to be able to offer him a scholarship to come play for them. So, while all of these, Flyers centers that we have on the roster are, with Selke admirations, defensive centers, all cookie cutters in my mind, of the same type player. defense first, defense first, defense first. We need somebody who can score a goal
Hey,
from the face-off dot, right? And excuse me, and Dean is that, right?
Yeah.
Think Tage Thompson from Buffalo. That is the talent that I see in this kid. And the size, the strength, the scoring ability that could potentially pan out here. And it may take big guys like that usually take a little bit longer. But if he goes to Boston College and plays for a season there, so be it. If this kid is going to be ready in a year or two time after this, he's going to be an unstoppable force.
I remember when you told me about Letourneau and we were like, yeah, we should check this kid out. And I started watching some of his stuff and started looking at it and was like, oh my gosh. And you said you had some comparisons there to a number 88 that used to skate around for the Flyers. And I went, wow, all right. And then I started looking at some of his tape and everything else like that. And Lance, you're right. He has hands, dude. This cat is smooth. And he has such a force that when he hits you, man, you're exactly right. He does remind me so much of Lindros and in his game, because his game was, okay, well, if I can't skate you off the puck, I'll just beat you off the puck. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, now don't get me wrong. Lindros was breaking absolute records of, Wayne Gretzky's numbers and Mario Lemieux's numbers. He was up there in that echelon with those type guys. Now, Dean is not necessarily that talented as he's putting up 200-300 points a season, but he's got that same size, that same build. He plays that same physicalness that Lindros did. So, he could develop into being amazing talent. I'm not trying to say he's the next Eric Lindros. I'm just trying to give you comparisons to people's game, who he resembles. Tage Thompson is a perfect one in that sense. But I'm just trying to give you past Flyers as well that you'll be able to.
But I like Tage Thompson one is a lot more of a better, I think, analogy than the Lindros. It would kind of give the Flyers somebody like a Lindros who is score first, who is take you into the boards first, who, you know what I mean? It's not when he's going to score. It's if he's it's not if he's going to score. It's when he's going to score. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. Right. So when you start getting some guys like that start stepping over the boards for the Flyers, where the other team has to have their head on a swivel and be like, uh-oh, Letourneau just stepped out on the ice, or Mitchkov just stepped out on the ice, or whoever, well, we need to be seeing where he is and what's going on. You know what I mean? Right. The Flyers need some of those players, okay? Yep, and I think they can get some of them players in this draft, and we just talked about two of them right there. Cole Eiserman and Letourneau. Those would be good. Are you kidding? Those would be all right. I'll take those two guys all day freaking long. All right, here we go. This is my favorite one of all the picks because I was not expecting this from you, sir. And we're talking about the first pick in the second round for the Philadelphia Flyers, and that is...
Yeah, that's John Mustard, a guy who we had very recently on Prospect Watch join us. Just a great young man, let alone his hockey skills. But, the Flyers potentially have the opportunity to have multiple second-round picks, but I don't think they will. They originally traded away their second-round pick to Carolina to get rid of Tony DeAngelo.
Yeah.
But they had the opportunity to gain one from Columbus in the Provorov deal, but they have the opportunity to decide whether they're going to give us their second round pick this year or next year. And it's going to be pretty good picks. So I'm doubting that Columbus is going to give us their second round pick this year. They're going to defer that to next season. Excuse me. So, this second round pick that we're drafting with right now is going to be at the tail end of it, I think. And it's going to be based off of Jay O'Brien, the 2018 Flyers first round pick that didn't sign with the team. It's kind of a compensatory pick. So, John, who is John Mustard? Well,
this John Mustard, talk to me about John Mustard, Lance.
Yeah, man. So he is a USHL, amazing talent this year, right? He's first year in the USHL for the Waterloo Blackhawks, and what will be his last. This 6 foot tall, 185-pound winger, who is just 17 years old, mind you. He's one of the youngest people in this draft. Was able to tally 29 goals, 27 assists for 56 points on the year. All right. He's got a scholarship to play for Providence College, which I think he's going to go play for next season.
Yeah, that's what he said.
I think he did tell us that in our show, guys. If you haven't checked the Prospect Watch show out on John Mustard, please do. It was one of our recent shows, and he was just absolutely great to have on there. But what I really like, besides just his ability to score goals, was that he plays like, let me give you a Flyers in perspective, a Hartnell or a Wayne Simmons in that sense, right? Yeah. He's a guy who is going to be in on the forecheck. He's going to be in on the board battles and just, be able to get that puck.
The first in.
Right. And he's going to be that guy that stands in front of that net too. And it takes that abuse to be able to help his team win.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be a fighter per se.
No.
You know what I mean? Yeah, no, he's not a fighter. But look, I'm going to tell you something. This young man his game is ahead of his time. He plays a much more mature game for the age that he is. His vision, his anticipation, and his hockey IQ more than make up for most of the other skills out there on the ice from other players. And then not only that, but he's got the skills, the speed, the shot, the power, the anticipation to be where you need to be to make the pass or to make the play. That's exactly what the Flyers need. A playmaker, somebody out there that's going to do it, a finisher, a guy that's going to finish his checks, get into the dirty areas like Lance said, do those things, be in the front of the net and take care of those and be that net front presence and get those tap-ins or those deflections and stuff that Hartnell was so good at and Simmons was so good at. You know what I mean? So dude, look, you and I both know we've talked about this off air and off camera. I would love to have John Mustard as part of the Philadelphia Flyers. Dude, I would be like, oh, anyway. We got to move on because we got a lot more people here to talk about here. Sure. And so now a true third round pick for the Philadelphia Flyers. Okay. Yep. Seeing as how the second round pick is potentially conditional, but there is a second round pick that we're getting as a compensation for the Jay O'Brien. Okay. So there's potentially 2 second round picks. Is that what you're saying?
Potentially, but that depends on Columbus.
Okay.
Yeah, whether they are going to give us their second round pick this year from the Ivan Provorov deal or next season. So, it's really good. So I think that's probably going to be next year.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. Okay. So true third rounder then on the next on the list is true third rounder for your article, Lance.
Yeah. So with a third round pick, I think that if he is still there, I think Danny Briere is going to snatch this guy up, and that guy is Justin Poirier. He is a diminutive winger like Danny Briere. I see a lot of Danny in this pick here. He's not a center like Danny was. He's a wing, but he's 5'8", and he plays in the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League. But for his size, this guy is absolutely electric because he's just an immense talent offensively. 67 goals and 106 points for the regular season and postseason combined. He picked it up in the postseason and just went on a spree. But this kid's also got a little bit of Sam Gagner in him, okay? Because he does not see a puck hit his stick that he doesn't want to fire it. But it's also one of his biggest setbacks, I think, too, because sometimes he just gets that tunnel vision and wants to score a goal and do it all himself, as do most young players. But there's other opportunities, some that are open for a better play. So he needs to develop that, and that's why he's not necessarily in the first or second round. I think his size compared and match that with his ability to not see the whole ice sometimes. He just wants to do it all himself, which he clearly can. He's an offensive dynamo. But,
Right.
you know, it might take a year or two to kind of get into that. But,
Okay.
yeah, that guy's
Okay.
special player there. And, you know, Bobby Brink-esque, you know, something like that. You know, small guy, elusive.
Don't get me started, man, because I would very much like to see certain players from the Flyers get potentially either on the block or
Yeah.
be part of a move that allows the Flyers to make some more significant moves to get other better draft picks and things of that nature. And when you talk like that, when you make that comparison, I immediately think that Justin could be the replacement for Frost. You know what I mean? We need somebody that can do that kind of that role or whatever. You know what I mean? So that okay, all right, there you go. So Flyers do not have a fourth round pick.
Nope, they
In this
dealt it.
draft.
They dealt it to the Sabres, right? They dealt it to the Sabres at the trade deadline for Eric Johnson. Okay, great. You know, finished out the rest of the season with us. I hope they don't sign him back.
They probably will not, seeing as how his contract is an expiring contract, I believe, at the end of this year. So he
Yep.
probably will not be back as well. And Stahl probably won't be back as a player as well, too. So those are two players that are going to be gone and money off the books and things of that nature. So with that being said, we're going to jump into the fifth round, pick number 1.
Yeah, we got multiple fifth-round picks in this draft. You garnered from a number of different ways. Danny was able to grab another one. So first one, though, I think they should take an Anthony Romani. He
Yeah, I
is
like
a
this
late blooming prospect who I wrote an article about earlier in the year. He plays for the OHL's North Bay Battalion, who is heading towards the finals for the OHL. And it has a lot to do with this guy right here. He didn't grasp in his last year, you know, amazing numbers because he was not on the ice a whole lot. They had a team with a lot of, you know, older players on there that just got the ice time that he didn't. So, but this season he really exploded. He had 58 regular season goals with 53 assists for 111 points in 68
Wow.
games played. All
Wow.
right. This guy is an amazing talent. He can bring it offensively. He's already 19 years old. I have no problem taking a guy who's an overager, who is a late bloomer, whatever you want to call it, because, hey, you know what? He's probably going to be ready that much sooner. And that's what the Flyers could use too. A guy that can come in and they don't have to wait for 3 years for this kid to be ready. This guy took a little bit longer. Boom. But he's ready now, you know, so it is what it is.
You know, I'm with you on that. And if the worst case scenario, a fifth round pick,
yeah,
he could be on the Phantoms. I mean, that would definitely help the Phantoms as well, because I believe with some of the guys that we were talking about, some of the new, with what you mentioned in your article about how the Flyers' defensive core is not that hurting. You also didn't mention the Ronnie Attards.
There's plenty of depth there.
There's
there's tons of guys. That's why I said it's amazing draft for defensemen this year, but we loaded up so much in the past 2 to 3 drafts with defense that they're coming now. So we need some help on that power play. And
we need some more offensive
another player who could potentially come in a couple of seasons and help with that. So
exactly. So here we go with fifth round pick number 2.
Right. So here is finally, it's crazy to sound hear me saying this, but a defenseman. Okay. We have a lot of.
You're saying that everybody else that this is supposed to be a defense heavy draft,
right?
And every player that is on your draft choice here, your mock draft is offense until we get to the second pick of the fifth round. All right.
Yeah. Well, we got some defense now. I think Danny addressed that too when he got in here, and he, you know, by picking up Helge Grans and drafting Oliver Bonk and everything like that too, on top of what we already, you know, had in the system. So we got an immense backstock there, but we don't have that old school defender, that stay at home defender too much, right? And that's what I think we need, because let's face it, Ristolainen hasn't been what we were hoping he would be.
And I don't think he's gonna be.
He's injured, and who knows? He's getting a little older, not too old, but bigger. But guys like that tend to break down quick. So drafting Darels Uljanskis.
Yeah, we'll
You
go
want
with
to take
that.
a run? You want to take a run at that?
Uljanski?
Yeah, we'll take a run at that. Anyway, he's Latvian-born defender. He's a left-hand shot defender, 6', 292 pounds. He's got a mean streak, man. If you watch this kid in international play,
perfect size. Like, he doesn't have to grow into that position.
No,
he
he's
doesn't
got an
have
NHL
to,
frame already.
Yeah.
Yep. So this guy does all the good things. When the Cam Yorks and all those guys and the Sandheims and everybody else takes off in the offensive zone, this is the guy that's going to sit back and allow those guys to go, right? And he's just going to stay back. He's going to protect his net. He's going to fight board battles in the corners, come out with the puck every single time. He's going to clear the porch for Arison and Fedotov every single time. It excites him to play that kind of game, and that's what I think the Flyers need defensively wise, because for every guy, Jamie Drysdale, whatever that goes, you need somebody to stay back. So
exactly, and I think that would be a great. That's a good looking forward to when the Ristolainens go and that kind of thing. So that's a good looking forward. Okay, so here we go. Round 6, the Flyers have 2 picks in round 6. So talk to me about pick number 1 for round 6.
Yeah, well, we got multiple picks in the 6th because Kevin Hayes deal. Kevin Hayes went to St. Louis, right? Danny Briere shipped him out, bad contract, got back a 6th round pick. So
I'm noticing how Danny Briere ships out a bad contract and draft picks seem to follow in and slot into this.
He wants to build for the future, and this is how you do it, right, through the draft. So a guy I'm going to go with here is another offensive underrated player in Jake Fisher. Jake is destined to go to the University of Denver sooner rather than later, I think. But like Romani, he's an overager, a bit of a late bloomer. He's 19, stands at 6'2" and 192 pounds as well. He scored 23 goals and 24 assists for 47 points in 51 games played for Fargo in the USHL. So
that's good.
This guy has got an amazing shot. He was buried a little bit on the depth chart even this year. At times, could he work on a couple of things? Yes, that's why he's a 5th or 6th round pick right now, rated. But I see a lot of Alex Bump in him. If you know the Flyers prospects, this is a guy who
another one that's coming up through Alex Bump, by the way.
Yeah, Minnesota native, right? Minnesota native in Jake Fisher and Alex Bump. I see a lot of similarities in their game. This is a guy like Alex Bump who's going to need to go to the NCAA and prove that he can play a more physical game and get a little bit more ice time. And I think he'll be darn good prospect in a couple of years.
There you go. That's awesome, man. And so now we're going to go with pick number 2 in the 6th round. Pick number 2 in the 6th round. Are you going to make it?
So
you need to get a drink.
Yeah, I know, right?
Maybe you should get a drink or something.
I don't have one. I need one. Shoot.
Okay.
I usually bring one up here. I'm sorry, guys. But so with that 2nd pick in the 6th round here, Jake Good. All right, Jake Good is a pick that I'm going to say is a assistant pick here to make Dean Letourneau feel at home, right? Because he is a guy that also played with him. And
there you go.
This kid is a setup artist. All right. He scored 81 assists this year. All right. He had 140 goals of his own. All right. So not too bad goal scoring wise.
Wait,
but he's a setup
40
artist.
goals on his own.
40 goals, 81 assists for 121 points.
How many games? 60 games?
Yeah, about the same. Yeah. So
Still, man, look,
that's tough.
you have some elite players in the NHL right now who are barely making 100 assists. Like very few guys make it that far. The Kucherovs, you know what I mean, the McKinnons,
Yep.
the Dreisaitl's. Those guys are the ones that are getting that amount of assists. To get that amount of assists, man, that's pretty. That speaks a lot.
Well, yeah, and this kid, he played with one of our favorite teams. He was a black ace for the Brooks Bandits, and
Oh
he, he
snap!
he came right out after their season. He came right out and played with them for a couple of games. He looked okay, playing with them. And this is a guy who Merrimack College likes the Brooks Bandits guys, and they have offered him a scholarship to come play for them in the future. So, another guy, we're seeing more and more and more guys go to the NCAA to develop their talents, and it's becoming an amazing league to watch. More so than even the CHL leagues and stuff like that. Bigger brand of hockey. Got that college atmosphere. You got the bands playing and um, everybody filled in there, the alumni in there and everything. It's just an awesome atmosphere to go watch a college game and have these kids grow up a little bit on the campus. So, amazing opportunity for Jake, not a guy that's going to come in right away.
Yeah.
But, it's the 6th round. You get to watch this kid for a couple of years in college and see what he can do and turn into.
More and more players are being drafted out of the NCAA and the NHL that are becoming successful. Okay, and all you have to do is look and see at some of the big names in the NHL right now, and 70% of them went to an NCAA program or went through something like that. You know what I mean? So, all right, here we go, man. The last pick, the 7th round. For the Flyers, they do have a 7th round pick. So the last pick for the Flyers, and that would be.
Yeah. It's going to be a Russian goaltender or guy from the KHL. He's Belarus player, but Pavel Moisevich, goaltender. Okay. I couldn't do a draft without a goaltender. I am a goaltender myself, but the Flyers are okay in net right now. For the first time in 20 some years, I think they're okay in net right now. All right. I
Yes.
don't want to jinx them, but
Yeah.
even with Carter Hart leaving town and all his fiascos
Bye.
dealing around with him,
Bye.
Sam Ersson played 51 games for the Flyers this year and looked darn good, right? The Russian Bear, as I call him, right? 6'7", Ivan Fedotov came over. Danny Briere re-signed him.
I
That was
like that.
unthinkable, right? It was unthinkable to think that he could actually get over here with all the going-ons that went with him, getting thrown into military service, everything else, right? But beyond that, they have Alexei Kozlov. They have Carson, who they drafted last year very high. They have a kid that's coming up in the KHL as well that Danny drafted in Yegor Zavingin. So he just got promoted to the KHL as well now. So, um, man, guys, this is a okay depth room here for the goaltending, but you can never have enough goaltending, right, Steel? So we'll go with this. Pavel, who I'm saying is a late bloomer, he's 19 years old. He's played in the KHL, shot all the way up the MHL and everything else over there in their minor leagues, and played 13 games this year for St. Petersburg. 1.25 goals against average for a 9.42 save percentage in those 13 games. All right. This is with his team having about 3 other goalies, 2 of which are NHL prospects drafted by other NHL teams playing on this same team. And this kid played so well, they didn't keep him in the minor leagues over there. They brought
him
him up to be able to play in
Yeah.
some games
Yeah.
because he is that good. So
Wow.
I think he's going to be a steal of this draft if he does develop into being the player that I think he is. Immense talent. He just amazing down in the lower levels, and even producing amazing numbers when he did play. Now he
Yeah,
is
really.
signed
First time
through
thinking.
26-27 season. So, but I'm okay with it. We have the goaltending depth here. Already signed and everything like that. This kid can sit over there in this factory of goaltenders right now in Russia, in the Russian
We'll take it.
leagues, and
Uh,
just develop him. So
we'll take it. And I like the Ivan Fedotov as the bear. I like that
Russian
reference as
bear,
well.
yeah.
Um, man, when he learns the short ice, I think the Flyers are gonna be in for some. You ain't seen nothing yet. If you get what I'm saying, right? You got. We all thought that wow, Erickson came in and played 51 games and did really well. I have a feeling that we're in for you ain't seen nothing yet when Fedotov gets on a roll. When
It's
he
going to be a
learns
nice
the
1-2
short
combo.
ice. Oh man, I'm here to tell you. If the Flyers could just not have to worry about that and cross that off the list of always having to go in every season who's going to be the goalie, what's going to happen with goal, the fact that the Flyers haven't had good goalies for such a long time, and now we're finally going into some seasons now looking ahead going, hey, it doesn't look too bad.
Right.
Knock on a little wood there in case anything, I also have no issues at all with, even though this is being a defensive heavy draft, with the Flyers going the opposite direction and picking out the gems of offensive players. I think that is brilliant because the Flyers need that more so, I think, because especially with Tortorella's system, especially with the goaltending that we've got now, especially with not only the defensemen that are currently on the roster, but also the ones that are in the prospect pool and on their way up. I think the Flyers aren't necessarily set at defense, but that's one of the things that, obviously is going to need improving and things of that nature. But I think that's one of the things where you can say the Flyers are in a good position.
Well, yeah, I think you're right there. And, for the teams that have been bad consistently, the Chicagos, the Anaheims, the Columbuses, and all that, the Arizonas, what have they been doing? They've been trying to draft top tier offensive talent year after year after year. And they got guys in the system that are pretty good offensively. So with all these defensemen, aplenty to draft, elite guys, I think in my mind, I think they're going to surprise a lot of people and snatch them up, because they can't
That makes
justify
sense.
going to get another amazing offensive player to hang in the system and then their goaltending sucks and their defense is horrible. That's great. You can score a whole bunch of goals, but you can't stop any. So I think that those guys in this draft specifically are gonna go defense a lot
Yeah.
of them.
Most of those other teams, the Anaheims, the Columbuses,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense because over the last couple of years they've been focusing on the offensive side of players as well too. So, well, I'll tell you what, man. We look forward to when Lance puts out his annual mock draft, and this was a super exciting show because we talked about all of the draft picks that Lance has. This is pre-draft lottery here now, and this is clearly with no deals being done. This is just the straight draft picks that the Flyers have currently, and whom Lance feels would be on their list of people that they should be selecting. Lance, over the last couple of years, we haven't really had too many mock drafts. They've been pretty much drafts that you've picked the players that the Flyers have definitely selected. This was a great article. It came out in perfect timing with everything that's going on and things of that nature as well too. So we're very excited about the draft coming up here for the NHL. We just finished watching the U18 Worlds. So the big guys, the older guys are going to be starting here soon for the IIHF Worlds. They'll be starting up here soon too. So we'll be looking check some of them games out as well too. Congratulations to Canada on winning the gold medal and playing really, really well. And I really think that you have to check out the Prospect Watch shows on Carter George and also Ryder Ritchie. They were integral parts in why Canada won the gold medal this year. So go check those out on Prospect Watch at SteelFlyers.com or go to the YouTube site. Lance, you got any articles coming up here, buddy?
I do. I've got a couple Flyers articles coming up in mind, but also, guys, look out for Prospect Watch with these draft picks in this. If you're watching the Worlds, we do have a couple of other guys that played in this game and this finals game against Canada and USA on the hook, waiting for them to get back from overseas to be able to get a chance to talk to them. So hopefully we can still make that work. And like you said, Steel, I feel I'm pretty decent at this. I mean, I did get Cutter Gauthier right. I did get Tyson Forrester right, over the years and who they drafted. So this is kind of what we do, right? All season long, we're looking at prospects. We're not somebody that just covers the Flyers solely and then 1 week out of the schedule, out of the articles that, before the draft comes out, do I focus on that and do this? This is something that, we study all year long. So,
all year long.
take a lot of pride in doing this. And I thank you guys for watching this show and reading that article because it's got a lot of time in it for sure.
Speaking of thank yous for watching and hopping over and checking things out. By the way, the last 2 months have been record months for the website, and big, huge thank yous out there to all you folks for going to the website. Well over 400,000 impressions for the month of April. Whoa! Right now, for the month of May, we are currently at 120,000 already, and it's already the 5th. So, thank you guys so much. The viewerships are up. Please hit the like and subscribe. We really appreciate that. We really thank you guys. We're not going away. We're here all year round. We talk about the Flyers all year round. You know what I mean? It's a full-time obsession. You know what I'm saying? So thank you, Lance, for all the great stuff that you do, man, being the editor-in-chief of the SteelFlyers website and also taking care of everything here for the Hockey Writers Ink. So thank you very much, Lance. We can find Lance on X at Lance Green 39. And also, big thank yous to all of the Facebook groups. Oh my gosh, thank you to every single one of them. They're so too numerous to mention. But thank you all so very much for allowing Lance to post his articles and for allowing us to post the show and everything else that's associated with what we're doing here. So big thank you to all the Facebook groups for allowing us to do that. We really appreciate you guys allowing us to do that. And we like the viewership that you guys present to us as well, too. So thank you very much to that. Big props to all the Facebook groups. Really appreciate that. Lance, I think we got a good one here, and I think we're going to wrap it up. I'm your co-host, Ron SteelFlyers. You can find me on X at SteelFlyers52, and you can find all the great stuff, like all the other articles and shows that we talked about, Prospect Watch, the John Mustard, the Ryder Ritchie, the Carter George, and all the other great shows that we have over there at SteelFlyers.com. Go check that out. Also, check out the new page, The Editor's Desk. So you got to be sure to check that out, where Lance gets to spread his wings, as it were, and talk about other things other than hockey. So thank you all very much for checking us out. We will see you guys all on the next episode of the Hockey Writers Ink.